Hey guys, NAMM 2020, and always one of our favourite stops is to come see Paul in the PRS booth. And it's a special year for you this year, but I think you wanted to say something, didn't you, to kick us off with?
I want to know why you're holding the John Mayer model when you have a Paul's guitar. Oh, I want to know.
He gave it to me, and it's not here, is it?
I carry my favorite guitar over my back when I go places. Did you bring it with you? No, you left it at home.
I left it nicely secure.
Nice and secure.
Pete played the best solo I've ever heard him play and get the best sound I've ever heard him get in the single that we covered. Came out just before Christmas, and he uses the Paul's guitar in there. It sounds unbelievable.
Killer.
And so what happens when you play this guitar? Does it sound good? We're at a trade show. Wow.
Pete, that was just unbelievably good timing.
That was. How about we do this backwards?
Do it backwards.
We always do it your way, and then I always interrupt you and futz with you. But how about we do it backwards? How about if I interview you guys? Now, has anybody ever done that?
I don't think so. Well,
Okay, so here we go. How
of
many viewers do you have total with your Facebook, Instagram, website, all that? I want to know.
I'll say around 1 million. Around 1 million.
Be about a million.
Yeah.
Okay.
A million people.
With the Instagram.
And how many videos have you done to date?
To date? No, as in ever. About 2,000?
Yeah, 2,600.
Oh, 2,600.
I think it's about 20. It's over 2,500.
Okay. And what town did you grow up in? Where's that accent from?
I'm Danish. Little town in Denmark called Fredericia.
And which town did you grow up in? The one you're in?
The one I'm in, Guildford. Yeah, I've never left.
So what happened when John Mayer came to your country?
He invited us to London, and we went and hung with him for a bit. And he was just about the most down to earth and gracious person we could have hoped to have met. It was wicked.
He likes you guys.
We like him too.
No, he watches your videos. All right. So what I didn't understand when I said you got to go, and he said, "Of course I've got to go," is that you guys are 2 hours from London.
Yes. It's fine. I mean, that became apparent about 2 or 3 days before the shoot. He was like, so just how far from London are you? And we're like, we're not really London. You know, it's like, well, you've been, haven't you? So
but I'm in Jez's car, and all I see is Jez's car. I don't know what town I'm in.
No, it would have taken John, he'd probably have had to take half a day or 2/3 of a day out of his schedule to come see us.
Well, that wasn't going to work.
No.
So how did Dane get in England?
How did what? Oh, I didn't get to England. I started in 2003. I started touring. I did some stuff with Tom Jones, played with him for a bit, Brit Awards, and then I got a tour with a girl band called Girls Aloud. My wife, I met my wife, which is a makeup artist in that band, and then I, of course, as men do when they're in love and stuff.
Somehow you ended up in Andertons.
So I ended up in the UK, yeah, and then I ended up meeting him. You know.
Okay, so what percentage of the guitars that you sell are PRSs?
And you know what, a much higher percentage. I've said this to you before. It always used to be Gibson and Fender and then everyone else. And now it's still kind of Gibson and Fender, but it's like PRS ain't that far behind. In fact, I think some months you could probably say it's up there. So percentage-wise,
it's like 30%.
Yeah, I would have thought so. It's a big number. That's
pretty cool. And how many times has he cried in a video?
Cried in a video? I'm not sure. Have you ever cried in a video? Oh, we ate chili peppers for a Christmas special.
You had to feed him poison to get him to cry.
I cried a lot.
Yeah.
Have you ever welled up in a video?
I've been emotional.
What video was that?
I don't know. If there's been some nice
sound. Did you get emotional when Paul gave you the guitar?
Yeah. No, there was one time where this amazing guy called Paul was so kind to give me a guitar of his.
Oh, that one.
That was a very, very emotional moment for me. I mean, I still get goosebumps.
Okay, so have you ever welled up in a he said he gets goosebumps. Did you ever well up in a video?
Actually, yeah, I did. Albert Lee played a song that was played at my father-in-law's funeral. I think that was on camera, and that was.
He played it in your building.
Yeah, I was interviewing him, and I asked him.
That's not fair.
No, I asked him to play it. He played. In fact, I cocked this up because I thought it was a Johnny Cash song, but it was someone else had written it, and Johnny Cash had done it. But it was something. Anyway, so it was played at my father-in-law's funeral, and I said to Albert, "Oh, would you know?" I knew he'd played it on his set, and I said, "Can you play it for us now?" And that was, in hindsight, was probably not that was tough to sit through, and then
you don't really. An Englishman doesn't really want to cry on camera, right?
I'll tell you, have you ever met Eric Gales?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Gales told a pretty moving story about going the drugs battles he'd been through and everything, and he started crying on camera, and then you know what it's like if you're in a room where a man starts crying.
Everybody was welling up.
So yeah.
All right, so they got me at this show.
Good.
Nice. All right, so let me interview Paul. How did they get you? Oh, I'll tell you the story, right? Since I'm doing the interview, right? This is so much fun. One of our artists is going to get a chance, and there's nothing better than an artist getting a chance on the worldwide stage, right? Yeah. I mean, when a management takes on a new artist and they give him a chance, like Dave Matthews got a chance or whatever, and they get a chance to show their wares. It's very cool. And one of our artists got a chance, which is just blew me away. I was. But it was tears of joy. I wasn't unhappy. I'm not telling you yet. The other thing that got me is that this show is going incredibly well, and there's been a few moments where we have failed over a very, very long period of time to have impact in certain markets, and this time all those markets were buying, so we're having this show of our lives. We're like 9 months backward, right?
I heard. I mean,
it's all your fault. They're all going to your.
Jez feeds me, kind of a little bit of not like confidential stuff, but just kind of like how it's going, and not just in the UK but across Europe as well. And it's just a powerhouse. It's everything from SE through to those private guitars that we ordered from you in
private stock,
the Modern Eagle private stock guitars. Three guitars sold within 48 hours of us.
Then you should have 10 on order, but you don't. And then see, that's the problem I have. Now we're going to go deep. That's exactly what she told me, because this is the problem. They'll get 3 of them. They'll sell right through, and then you're waiting another 7 months to a year. But if you had them in the pipeline, and that's what we're trying to convince people to order enough that you get the rate at which you could sell them at, or a little less. I don't want you to have more than you can sell, because then I'm causing you pain. I don't want to do that.
And I think with those guitars as well.
So see the way he's holding this guitar. He wants to own this thing.
He doesn't.
Look at him holding his.
But you know what
my
you did?
Baby.
You know what you did, didn't you? You took Pete's favorite guitar player, one of his favorite guitars ever, and then made it in his favorite color and limited it to 500.
Yeah.
And then,
are you getting one for your shop?
Well, I said to Jez, I'll take 25 of them. Yeah. And Jez literally went, "You've got no chance of getting 25. So I'm like, well, you need to tell me how many I'm going to get, because Pete's going to want one. And there's another dude that we use with video called Jack. He's like, put me down for one as well. And I'm like, I can't really sell all these to staff.
Are you going to tell me that all these John Mayer guitars are going to hit your shop, all the people in the store are going to buy them, and none of the customers are going to get them? This is not good.
No.
This is bad.
It's bad for me.
You're telling me I limited the number back too far. 500 sold just like that.
I would have said on that particular color, you could have probably put a naught on that and still sold them all.
A naught?
Oh, as in a zero on the end of 500.
A naught.
So 5,000.
Are you serious?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's the coolest color. Colors for us. One of the things we've noticed over the last probably 2 or 3 years, whether it's a vanity thing or a fashion thing or whatever, but the color has gone from being like, it's kind of, I need my guitar to look quite nice, to almost being like, that's the draw. It's like, I want that guitar because that's how it looks, and as long as it plays and sounds okay, I'm buying that guitar.
They're using it as a synthesizer controller, not as a guitar, but that's different. They're driving a pedal board with it, right?
But
how many pedals do you have?
That depends on what I'm doing.
How many pedals do you normally have on your pedal board when you play a gig?
Depends on the gig, but from 5 to 10.
How many do you have?
I've got 8, I think, on my board.
You know how many I got?
Go on.
I got a tuner sitting on top of the amp. I unplug it out of the amp, plug it in the tuner, use it, go back in the amp, and shut up.
I did. What did we do?
What pedal you using to get that tone?
What did we
You're
do?
plugging straight in?
The fingers.
What did we do the other day, video-wise, where we did that? And again, it was one of those like, fuck. Why do we keep? It's like that's almost like a whole like. I think if you could get the sound of not using pedals in a pedal, people would buy that. You know, it's like it's another sound, isn't it?
Maybe you should have the unpedal pedal. When
think
you
so.
hit it, all the other pedals turn off.
It's a great idea. Yeah, I'm going to think about that. There's got to be some way of doing
video
an April Fool. Here's the sound, the best pounding pedal I've ever.
The bypass pedal. The get rid of all pedals.
What did we do that with? I think it might have been an old Bassman or something like that, and we just plugged the guitar in. It was
What's
just like
wrong with that?
no, nothing. That's what I'm saying. It was like
Nothing.
one of the best sounds we ever had.
So listen, I found a 64 concert amp. Have you ever heard one?
I've heard of them, but I don't think I've ever heard one in the flesh.
Spectacular clean sound. Imagine an old blackface super reverb, but clearer and less distorted and loud. Oh God, it sounds good. Anyway, so I have all these old amps, and now when we come up with a new model amp, I make sure that what we release sounds better than the old stuff. So I found in Ireland a 66 50 watt plexi.
Wow.
We plugged it in when there were parts rattling around in it and all this other stuff. But what an amplifier! And then I got Eric Johnson's touring amp, which was a bad trade, but he got my amp, which he liked much more than his, and I got his touring amp. Now I know what his touring amp sounds like. The guy from Snarky Puppy was in the building the other day, Lettieri, and he's playing an Eric Johnson tune through Eric Johnson's amp. You know what it sounds like? Exactly like yours.
He's really good, man.
Oh my
He's
God!
unbelievably good.
See, it's frightening how well it sounds.
We had Eric did a thing for Andertons, and he insisted on bringing his full live rig. So I think it was 200 watt Marshall stacks, 2 Fender Twins, pedal board, the whole thing. And we got to meet his tech, and all the stories about him being very particular about what mains cable is plugged in. It's all true.
But it sounded spectacular.
Yeah, but it's like it's the wall
Dustin
of
Sears.
sound.
Dustin
just like,
Sears, was that the tech?
I forget. It was about 7 or 8
real
years
tall
ago.
guy?
No, I don't think so. But I could have been. You know what? It's just. But all the. I remember he had these. This is a great story. What do you call the four like extension things where you put like a plugs in? Just like a mains cable thing. You put four.
Yeah. What about him?
So he has all the mains leads glued in to the right sockets, and all the mains leads are marked up as to what amplifier. And the one thing they didn't have was like an adapter to change it to a UK plug. So I'm just like, what's the problem? I mean, we just give you UK mains leads, and he's like, no way, man. It's like Eric will know. Eric knows even if I plug the wrong mains lead into the wrong socket on the four-way thing. It's like, wow.
I checked the battery thing.
Yes.
Because everybody was on the internet was saying it was nuts at the beginning of the internet. I went, let's try it. So I had 2 different batteries. Damn, if it didn't sound wildly different when I changed the batteries. So I checked the voltage of one. It was like 9.6 volts, and the other one was 11.4 volts. The 11.4 volts was way brighter.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's not stupid. That makes sense, actually.
Fuzz pedals, I would 1,000,000%. I think everybody thought Eric was mad when that whole, it's got to be an 8.8 volt whatever. But yeah, you change the voltage on a fuzz pedal by 10%, you change the sound of the fuzz pedal.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, I like Eric. I think he's a wonderful human being. He treats me really, really well. But that sound just doesn't come out of air, man. He sounds like nobody else. But you're going to have to be particular. That's just the way it's going to go. Look, we have a really good relationship with you guys personally. We have a really good relationship with you guys as a business. I think we make stuff and you sell it. And I really appreciate it. And the reason I said let's do something different is because you've done 2,000 videos, and we better do something different because this is well-trodden ground. The grass is dead.
Well, can I just say from everyone at Andertons, like a happy birthday to PRS. 35 years is some milestone. It's a pretty elite club of businesses that have made it to that long. And I must admit, I love going back and looking at pictures of your workshop and seeing you back in the 80s. great cool. It's
Now
so cool.
Now I have a little teeny tuft remaining of the last of the hair. The rest of it is all
But you can see the
grandfather
excitement.
bald.
It's like the excitement.
You wait. You're laughing.
I've
You
got
wait.
They're coming, man. You know.
You wait.
I still got, it's still all right here. But you know,
You might not go bald.
I might not.
But I can tell you,
my granddad never went bald.
Looking like a raccoon is something I didn't expect.
Well, I must admit, it's a pleasure
It's
doing
not
business with you.
even. Look, the cameraman even finally laughs. Right? Well, now we're good. We're done. Watch this. We're done. All right, good.
Thanks, man.